Squirrels! So hello, and welcome to another Legends of Runeterra video. My name is Chris, and today we will be playing some more budget decks, and this time Budget Endure. What is Endure, you might be thinking, some of you newer to the game. Well, They Who Endure is a 6-mana 1/1. Overwhelm. When I'm summoned, grant me 1/1 for each ally that has died. And this is a very powerful card in the right deck, which this is the right deck for it. And essentially, you're going to be getting this up to, 10, 11, all the way up to 20, something like that, and winning the game with this card. And as this is a budget list, of course, there are no epics, there are no champions in this list, and I think that of the budget decks I've made so far, this one is actually probably the best, as it's probably the closest to the actual original deck, or the deck with all the cards in them that you could have, and essentially the deck functions completely normally, and that's basically because it's more of a They Who Endure deck than any sort of champion deck or anything like that, and thankfully They Who Endure is an uncommon, so it makes this list very easy to run. So let's talk about, firstly, if you do have more of the cards, what could you put in there? Well, I think Elise is an absolute definite that you could put in there. I would probably advise that Elise is probably better. If you do put Elise in, you might want to go even more towards maybe 3 Crawling Sensations, maybe even Frenzied Skitterer. Put in some more spiders perhaps, so that you can potentially level up Elise more easily, because her power can come from that as well. But Elise is definitely a good tech to have in this deck, and I'm pretty sure you start with Elise, so put Elise in at any amount really. Is a good choice to have. Callista is one that people have put in and could put in. I personally aren't that big of a fan, whilst obviously she fits with sort of the allies dying theme. When she levels up, her revival of the strongest dead allied follower normally isn't the greatest thing. There is a nice synergy that if you do revive a Wraith caller, it will then summon a Mist Wraith which does not have ephemeral, so if you can get that to work, by all means try that out, and that is a cool little synergy you can have. Maokai is another one. I think he's a bit slow, in all honesty. I think if this deck is ever going to lose to something, this deck will probably more lose to control type decks or combo type decks in particular. Think Fiora type combo decks, think Ezreal type decks. These are its big weakness, and I don't think Maokai, a 1/4 on turn 4, is really putting it on enough pressure to really help you in those matchups. And so and every other matchup really against aggro and mid range is kind of okay for this deck, because it has early chump blockers and it has enough healing to survive those decks. And so Maokai I don't think is a great tech. Similarly Thresh, obviously we're playing no champion, so there would be no point in Thresh. And Hecarim, I don't think he's strong enough anymore to consider running outside of ephemeral decks. I'm kind of hoping ephemeral decks see a bit of a buff in the next patch. That would be nice to see. But Hecarim I just don't think is quite there yet, unfortunately. I just don't see it. Yes, he gives you deaths, but he's not. You'd rather play They Who Endure on 6 if a lot of things have died already, I think, and you might have better options on turn 6. Anyway, so with that said, let's run through the list of cards we are playing. So we do have Crawling Sensation as a 2 of, and this deck, by the way, if you're running into a lot of burn aggro, very good against burn aggro. This deck will sort of feast upon it. If you play it right, it's probably about 80% win rate against that kind of deck. They would have to draw extremely well, and you would have to draw pretty badly to not win against them, because essentially you can just stop all their attacks ever hitting you, and then you've got health gain as well, and so you can really should be doing pretty well in those matches. With that said, we are playing Crawling Sensation, as obviously a lot of things are going to be dying, and there's 2 more blockers for us to die with. Hapless Aristocrat, very good. 1 drop here will give us a spider straight away as well, so essentially 2 deaths for us pretty reliably. 1 Warden's Prey and 1 Avarossan Sentry. Now why have I done this? And I've done this because originally I was running 2 sentries, but as you've already seen, we are running Mist Wraiths, and so therefore having Allegiance is important. And also against burn aggro, or against any aggro deck, if they've got the attack on turn 1, you definitely want to have a 1 drop blocker. Of course, if they play rear guard, you don't want to take that 3 to the face. So I've gone with 1 of each, just to improve our chances of having a 1-drop to play against aggro decks, and you know, and Warden to Prey is a fine at doing that. You know, obviously there is a bit of RNG with him. You could get something that's quite useful, you could get something that's completely useless. But you know, it's important to get a 1-drop against aggro, and I figured that a lot of people on the lower ranks might be facing quite a bit of aggro, and therefore might want it, might want the help. Avarice and Sentry though obviously fits the deck very well. He dies, he draws us a card, that's very good for us. Curse Keeper is about as good as a card in this deck as you can get. Getting the Abomination shouldn't be too hard. You know, again, we are focused on things dying, so it shouldn't be too hard to get a nice 4/4 for essentially 2 mana. Glimpse Beyond obviously fits the deck as well. We're going to draw 2, not much to say about that. Mistwraith. We are playing the Mistwraith package, and I think Mistwraiths as a whole and Wraithcaller is an extremely effective card if you can get that out. And obviously if we're buffing our other Mistwraiths, that's quite good, and I really like the design of this card, and I'm a fan in general. I can also get some early damage in, oftentimes with the Fearsome tag on turn 2, so a pretty good card to get overall. Val Feast, very strong card, obviously good against aggro as well. Gives us a chump blocker to die. Blighted Caretaker is going to give us 3 deaths, and that's pretty massive. And then normally Blighted Caretaker itself, the 2/1 body, isn't strong enough to normally survive a lot of stuff anyway. So he's going to be seeing quite a few deaths indeed from him. So that's 1 card and essentially 4 deaths, which is going to get us at They Who Endure up pretty high. Wraithcaller is an extremely good card. Extremely good card. And it's kind of a weird card because it doesn't fit every list, even if you're running like pure Shadow Isles. It sometimes doesn't even fit that list. But it does fit this list because it gives you 2 bodies for 4 mana, and essentially if you know you're at least getting what 6/5 of stats across 2 bodies, that's really good. That's, you know, that's a really good card. I know you need to hit the Allegiance, but our chances are very high, so you should do most of the time. And this could even be even more stats, of course, because Mistwraith could become even better. Brood Awakening is a very good card, gives us 3 bodies. We do have, you know, with the likes of Crawling Sensation and other stuff, this is a really nice mid-range card to give us, you know, enough blockers and potentially a lot of threat as well. Grasp and Wail will combine to be our health gain against burn aggro decks. Very, very important you use these cards, particularly Grasp, wisely. Do not use this card on one of their units if they have a card in hand and 3 mana open, because a Noxian Fervor, when you've gone for a Grasp of the Undying on a unit, can lose you the game. And so that's very important to keep in mind. Make sure that this hits in those aggro matchups. Neverglade Collector, obviously again against any sort of aggro match, or even just potentially mid-range matches. If they can't deal with Collector, we are going to be draining a lot of life from them and gaining some life as well, which can be very important and mean that our They Who Endure can potentially one-shot them without having to do too much. Atrocity obviously goes very well with They Who Endure. You're really only going to use this on They Who Endure, that's why it's a 2-of. But against control matchups, this is often how you will win. You will get an Atrocity onto a They Who Endure, ping it to face, and hopefully win that way. And the boy himself, They Who Endure, obviously a very strong card in this deck. So I think this list is very competitive, very good for ranking up those lower ranks. And again, it's a budget deck. You can build it very cheaply. There again is mostly commons, as you can see here as I'm going down the list. Our first uncommon is Blight the Caretaker. So all these cards are common up there, and essentially most of the deck is, we see some uncommons here, but nothing too expensive. And so let's get into some games. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. We are playing against aggro. This particular variant is running Jinx, but we should, as I say, have a pretty good matchup. They are attacking on 1, so we definitely want the 1 mana blocker. Mistwraith I'm kind of okay with. Giving me the old Jinx emote, not sure why that is. Hapless is just really good in this match. Brood is okay. I'm gonna knock the Brood, but I'm gonna keep the rest. In this match, by the way, it's very important that we do not, I repeat, do not, these are 2 very good draws, by the way, do not care about your They Who Endure only being a 6/6. Their deck does not have a 6/6 in there. He drops the 1/1 drop that we cannot block. This was a good play by him, and straight away he got that off there. He probably had a choice. There was a little delay there. So he probably has a choice, which means that we know he's got multiple things in hand. Speaking of another good draw, obviously the best draw we could get against this. I told you I had multiple of them because of the delay. We will be using Val Feast on this next turn. And so I'm going to just drop another Aristocrat. We potentially could have dropped it this turn. That was actually probably a mistake. We probably should have dropped it this turn because you could have Noxian Fervor in hand, and then obviously this Val Feast won't hit, so don't do what I just did. Could go for an open attack, he will.
Okay, ready.
It would have been a mistake had he not attacked with everything. Kind of have to hope he doesn't have Fervor here then, I guess. No, he's going to wait. I kind of hope he does play something here, as that does mean he will not have a Noxian Fervor, but obviously the second one isn't good for us either there. Shame that we don't have Withering Wail as well. Maybe playing this was a mistake, as a Withering Wail right now obviously would be pretty GG. But I'm still happy to play on Mistwraith here. That's essentially all we could do. And the way we are going to block is with you, and then we will Val Feast you. He's thinking about something. There are things that I could think he could have are Brothers Bond, but we've kind of mitigated any Brothers Bond pretty well here. Transfusion, okay. Oh, that's scary. Does mean that we kill this, but we do go down to 12. And we do have a decent board here. We've obviously got this Withering Wail as well. There's a Brood Awakening. Obviously not much we can do, but just open attack. Okay, he's taking the damage, and this is quite important as well, that you have to be able to finish a game against aggro. So he's probably looking at a Decimate based off that pass. Probably assume such. Now, if he does go for another Transfusion or anything like that, thankfully this will still get value. Yeah, so he does have Noxian Fervor, but this still will get value, and then it will heal us 3 still. And we are going to try and go all in. Could be on Decimate, so we know that we need to probably... Oh! Just a straight up surrender. As I say, this is a good matchup for us, even though I did misplay technically there. But it is a good matchup for us, as you can see, because we've got so many early blockers that it really, really does favour us. Yeah, and in general, we've got a good matchup against Burn Aggro, and you will often beat Burn Aggro with this deck, because we've got healing, because, you know, we're on 12 there, we've got a good open attack. This is an interesting matchup. If they manage to get Fiora into Unyielding, this is going to be a difficult one. Anything else, we should be okay. So I kind of like the Val Feast early on. I'm not sure about the Neverglade. I don't think we need 2 Val Feasts. The Val Feast is good for the Fleet Feather, but otherwise not as important. And Wraithcaller is just a solid mid-game play. And against a mid-range deck like theirs, could be quite important. Now this is obviously going to stop his attack straight away, because thankfully he's attacking on 1, which this deck doesn't like to do. At this point we can obviously attack first. Let him see. If he plays War Chefs now, we'll go straight in for this. All of that. That's fine as well. Warden's Prey. We'll come and chump block that out pretty nicely. In fact, I can actually just do this right now. Stop him from challenging anything. And yeah, we're just going to get some nice little chump blocks on. And all the while, increasing our They Who Endure. Second Wraith Caller, pretty nice. Our chances of not getting it at this point are obviously very low, as we've got 2 They Who Endure in hand. And it gives us more chump blockers. Happy to not see Fiora, as she is the problem in this match. She's definitely the problem. Everything else isn't that big of a deal. Kind of ruins our attack, but I'm absolutely fine with that as well. Because essentially we just want to be stalling out the game rather than anything else. He's got an okay open attack, like this as well. There's a Garen. So what I'm going to do is just increase this Myth Straight attack, and potentially we can grasp the Garen.
Feel the sizzle.
Honor guide me.
He's having a think. I mean, we're going to block that anyway.
Protect and strike.
So it's fine. We'll probably block the War Chefs and this. Like if he attacked like he just did, we would have had an amazing block. Especially with this grasp in hand. And this is again the strength of this deck, and it is a very strong deck, that we can do these things. So what we are going to do is block you. We're going to grasp you. And be in a very good position in this game as our They Who Endure continues to get bigger and bigger. We know we've got Wraithcaller here as well. And that's going to create a 4-2. These two are just going to get bigger, and essentially when they get to the point where they're just too big for them, we're going to win the game. And that's pretty much it. We are going to win this game when these become, you know, too big for them, essentially. And now that these Mistrates as well are 4-2s, it even means something like SI+Fr here can be blocked pretty well. So he plays a Badger Bear. I'm not that interested in attacking at all. We can wait for our attacking with these. And SI+Fr really is the only problem right now. And that's pretty good as well. She is a problem. That is true. And so I'm just going to pass because he can War Chefs this into that, and I don't want that. She is the problem. Everything else is fine.
My steel is yours.
It's an interesting attack. Like, I'll trade those. I'll trade this. Yeah, I'm kind of happy that. And at this point, I think we do just play the 9-9. 9-9? This, I think, is our time to strike. With 2 of them, he probably doesn't have an answer, I'll be honest. It would be surprising if he did. So let's just go for it. We're going to put him under real pressure now. Can't think of too many things that deck has to answer this kind of thing, particularly in mono. Even a Bannerman now or something like that doesn't scare us. My stats are bigger than your stats. This is essentially what we're saying at this point. As I say, because this Fiora is the problem, this is the thing, this is how he wins the game. Fiora, that is it. Even something like that, it does not matter. It doesn't matter. So we're gonna go in. We're going in.
Do not waver.
I'll stop you.
That's fine. He's going down to 6.
No closer.
Now we have to hope he doesn't draw like second Fury for a repost. Unyielding Spirit could also be a bit annoying. We could use Within Us Trusty here probably. Or don't block them. Don't block is fine as well. You know, I can play both of these and then win.
Can you stomach this?
Shield up.
That's fine as well. Blocking with the War Chefs, that can't be correct. Why would you ever block with this? This helps her. And that's how you win. Yes, correct. But you're going down to 6. But you did block correctly. So congratulations. Yeah. And no play from him. Absolutely fine. Oh, glimpse. That's very good against you.
Let them eat swords. Try me.
Try me. So this probably means he's got a repost. I would assume. In which case, obviously, we will just glimpse you. And then probably play a Neverglade.
Honor guide me.
Right, that's an interesting attack as well. To be honest, I'm happy to get rid of these. You know, Fiora is again how you win the game. Like, let me get rid of these little spiders and things that you can kill for free. That's fine. So Unyielding Spirit. I mean, that's not killing it though. Okay, there's the repost. We did get second Fiora. Your move.
Fight on an empty stomach.
So we will absolutely block you there. We can... do I want to block with this spider? I could just kill you. I think I just want to kill you, to be honest. I'll glimpse you as well. We'll see what we get. See, the unyielding means that this essentially doesn't matter. Another Neverglade. Okay. All 3. There they are.
A morsel of regret.
And now we'll see what we get from the one spray. Another sentry. That's pretty good. Hey, that's pretty good. And now we can double sentry.
These old eyes still see
And end the turn. Again, now let's assess our options. Could go for second Neverglade. I don't think it's actually necessary. Because I can't think of anything that he could have that's actually going to punish me here. As long as we put the Neverglade at the end, we should be pretty good.
Precision and grace. I'll stop you.
That's fine. Even if he kills this, and the overwhelm will still go through, so somehow he needs to get her back up to 9. Obviously we're doing 5 damage there, and because the Neverglade is there, that doesn't matter, my friend. That doesn't matter either. Good game, my friend. This one goes to they who endure. As you see the power of this kind of list, and as I say, Fiora is the only way you normally are going to lose that match. Cithria the Bold can cause some issues as well, but generally speaking, you're going to be pretty good, and that's kind of a matchup where the miss rates are really good because they'll get up to fearsome range, and as I say, Cithria is kind of your only other way of losing from Fiora. And you can see that this is a very powerful list. We kind of went up against 2 of the strongest decks and beat them pretty easily, in all honesty. Were we ever really in too much threat there? The only problem really is when you don't draw They Who Endure. It feels pretty bad when you draw 2 atrocities and no They Who Endure. But you saw how it can become important. There was a time in that game where if we had atrocity, we would have just won on the spot. But you see the power of this list, and I'm happy to show you another deck where you can hopefully play this pretty early on in the game. If you have any questions about, you know, oh, I have this card but not this card, what should I do? I'll be happy to answer them in the comments, so feel free to leave a comment and, you know, like and subscribe and all that stuff. We did hit 100 subs, which I know isn't a big deal these days, but, you know, considering I'm basically just doing this because I enjoy doing it, I thought, you know, that's quite nice. It's quite nice to have 100 subs. So thank you for watching. I've been Chris. Have a really nice day.